observation strongly, we wanted to bring out more biological significance to this, and of course, the choice of interest can't be anything else except SOX3, because SOX3 is the primarily it is the main inhibitor of the interleukin 6 signaling cascade. This is the inhibitor involved in a feedback loop as far as interleukin 6 mediated STAT3 activation is concerned, and hence we wanted to observe that under similar experimental conditions with overexpression of NOD1, SOX3 levels are affected similarly as the interleukin 6 mediated STAT3 activation as such, because this comes in a cyclic manner after the induction of STAT3 as such. But what do we observe? We observe, surprisingly over here, that instead of bringing it down, overexpression of NOD1 leads to an enhancement of SOX3 values. Again, actually controlled by the dead mutant, which gives no significant results as such, but you observe over here is that NOD1 definitely leads to significant enhancement of the SOX3 values. We were surprised at this point, we still are, but to see that maybe NOD1 physically interacts with SOX3, somehow stabilizes its degradation, or so we wanted to make some precipitation assays, but what we observe over here is that NOD1 results in no physical interaction with SOX3 as such. So, in conclusion, what we observe over here is that in classical way, NOD1 is defined as a receptor interacting with different kinases to bring out an alpha B mediated inflammatory immune response. But we ventured into the unknown waters of the JAK-STAT signaling cascade, and we observed that NOD1 specifically suppresses interleukin 6 STAT3 activation, and it is specific because it has no significant effect on other inducer STAT combinations, and with STAT3 it is also specific to interleukin 6 because it shows no effect on interleukin 10 mediated STAT3 activation as such, and we could really believe that NOD1 essentially plays a suppressive role in the interleukin 6 STAT3 signaling cascade. So thus our work as such brings out new interactions of NOD1 in this JAK-STAT signaling cascade. And in bringing so, we also observe that NOD1 somehow stabilizes or enhances SOX3's expression in the cellular system, but how it does so is still yet to be determined, and probably that's the reason which brings us to this question mark that maybe there are other interaction partners of NOD1 by which it brings out such effects. But another possibility is that NOD1 could well be interacting with at the receptor level as such, maybe with GP130 moiety, via which this single transaction is mainly based upon, or with the interleukin 6 receptor as such, but these are hypotheses and would be tested in the time to come in our group. But thus our work really, apart from bringing these novel interactions of NOD1, also brings out these questions that there could well be unknown interaction partners of NOD1, or possibly other NLRs as well in such signaling cascades. So to summarize our work, what we observe, again, that NOD1 specifically suppresses interleukin 6 mediated STAT3 activation, and in doing so these suppressive effects are primarily mediated by the central NBD domain as such, and in doing so NOD1 somehow enhances SOX tree expression as such, but without showing any direct physical interaction. And in the second part of our studies, we also show that though node 1 enhances basal NF-kappa B as such, but it counterregulates TNF alpha induced NF-kappa B activation. So what we infer from here is that under normal physiological conditions, the NLR, especially node 1, could well be playing a different role than their defined in the pattern recognition receptor role, and we project that these could be different adapter-like roles to modulate these different signaling cascades as such. And of course, as I'm stressing again and again, that there could be unknown interaction partners of node 1 by which it brings out its suppressive effects as such. And lastly, our study brings out these role of node 1, which definitely holds a lot of clinical significance as such, because hyperactivation of interleukin 6 is observed in several malignancies. It is, on the other hand, it plays an important role in neuroinflammation as a neuroprotective role, but simultaneously it also have a role in the progression of cardiovascular disorders as such. So these suppressive roles of node 1, and maybe again I would stress possibly other NLRs in such regulatory activities could well be investigated further, or should be investigated further for possible therapeutic interventions as such. So come to the end, and I would like to first thank ICA PhD program, and this has been a wonderful platform for a student like me coming from India to get a chance to showcase myself and make myself competitive at the international level. Here we can see the first batch of IC my colleagues with Thalamer, and I'm quite happy to be a part of this group. I would love to thank members of the Thalamer's group, Peter Keeley, Sandra, Richard, for helping me throughout my laboratory work at Search, the group of Fritz Aberger for providing necessary materials, and also the group of Professor Thomas Kufa in the University of Cologne, where we conducted some successful essays. Of course, all of my friends and well-wishers. And I would, of course, like to thank Professor Diana Borowski for being an excellent external supervisor. Her inputs time to time in the progression of studies have been of great value. And Dr. Richard Weiss, of not only being a discussant for me today, but of course helping me a lot in the lab and saving my life many times in times of disorders as such. And last but not least, and above all, I would of course like to thank my working group under the esteemed guidance of Professor Albert Duschel, who gave me this wonderful opportunity to look and work under such an atmosphere where I could really progress as a student of science, and I would always remember them for these wonderful 3 years, and my parents, of course, for their support, well wishes, and blessings all throughout my career as such. And of course, I would like to thank you all for your attention.